Good morning, Year 4. Our English today, we are looking at formal and informal language. So, your book will look something like this by the end of the lesson. And for copper, we are identifying formal writing and picking out some vocab. For bronze, we are beginning to use that formal vocabulary in sentences. And silver, you're creating your own ideas. And gold, you're extending your ideas into a journalistic style. So starting to think about your newspaper article and what sort of language you would use for it. So our anchor test then, what is formal and informal language and what's the difference between them? So hopefully you can remember that formal language is used for more official and serious purposes. So it's very posh. It's the sort of language you'd use, as we say in Year 4 Octopus, if you were speaking to the Queen. Okay, the correct grammar and standard English should always be used. Informal language then is the opposite, the antonym. And informal language is used for more casual and less serious purposes. Slang words and chatty language can be used. So you might use this with your friends. Okay, so we've got some examples here and I want you to sort them into formal or informal. Okay, so pause the video and sort these sentences into the two subheadings. Okay, so the mob was very rowdy in the street last night. Okay, so mob's quite a chatty word, so that's informal. The balloons were inflated for the experiment. Okay, so the vocabulary inflated is quite a high level word. So that's formal. He got over his sickness would be informal. Break a leg at the show tonight, informal. We were over the moon with the results, informal. And various effects were used to make the music video is formal. So well done if you got those correct. So what is formal and informal language? So as a reminder, formal uses a serious tone, correct grammar and punctuation and correct vocab. Informal uses chatty tone, text language or slang, and it uses contractions and abbreviations. So it's rather than it is, or TV rather than television. So have a look at these two emails and decide whether they are formal or informal, okay? So hopefully you've noticed that there's a big hint at the top, formal and informal. So the differences are the one on the left. I'm writing to inform you. I was disappointed to find the word inadequate. Okay, there's lots of high-level vocab in here, very posh words, lots of adverbs to give detail in our email. Informal is much more chatty. There's some shortened words, some contractions, and some rhetorical questions. And there's even text language at the bottom. See you soon. So you're now up leveling the sentences from informal to formal. So our sentences can't wait to see you. So what could we up level this to? So we could say, instead of can't wait to see you, I am looking forward to meeting with you. Okay, so we have up-leveled that vocabulary. It still means the same thing, but it sounds much more posh, much more formal. Okay, the TV was broken, it won't switch on. So we could up-level the word TV. We could up-level broken. Okay, so I want you to complete these three sentences independently in your book, up-leveling from informal to formal. So you are writing 3 sentences up-leveled into your book. Pause the video and have a go. Okay then, moving on to a waggle. We need to have a look for some more formal language. So, Biggins is back. Surprise return of Hobbit thought dead. The quiet village of Hobbiton on the Water was yesterday in uproar due to the unexpected reappearance of Mr. Bilbo Baggins, who left the Shire months ago, accompanied by the wizard Gandalf. Where has he been all this time? A large crowd of hobbits had gathered at Mr. Baggins' home, Bag End, where his property was being sold off by his cousins, Mr. and Mrs. Sackville. They had asked some months ago for Mr. Baggins to be declared dead and had subsequently claimed Bag End as their own inheritance. Having demonstrated that he was very definitely alive, Mr. Baggins demanded that everyone should leave his house. Mrs. Sackville was heard to say, "It's outrageous. How can we be sure he's not an impostor?" However, Mr. Baggins has told his story exclusively to the Hobbiton Herald. Bilbo Baggins, Gandalf, and a party of dwarfs, led by Thorin Oakenshield, departed some time ago on a quest to recover lost treasure stolen centuries before by the fearsome dragon Smaug, hundreds of miles away beyond the Misty Mountains. Their journey through foreign territories was perilous, and Bilbo claimed that their lives were endangered many times. Early on, they were captured by trolls. They only avoided being eaten alive, because Gandalf tricked the creatures and turned them to stone. While sheltering from a violent storm in the Misty Mountains, they were trapped again, this time by hordes of vicious, evil goblins. Bilbo explained they had got away because Gandalf killed the great goblin with magic. Lost and alone underground, Bilbo next met a strange creature called Gollum, who agreed to help if the hobbit could answer a series of riddles. Unfortunately, this individual betrayed Bilbo's trust. Mr. Baggins wouldn't detail how he managed to escape. He is strangely reluctant to discuss this particular event. In Mirkwood, the adventurers unwisely strayed from the path and consequently were imprisoned again. Quick-thinking Bilbo saved them from years in the dungeons. "I made everyone climb into barrels and we floated down the river," he explained. So, looking through that waggle, can you find any formal language, and in particular any vocab we might want to magpie for when we write our newspaper article about Wilbur? Okay, so pause the video and making a list of vocab. Okay then, so you might have picked up uproar, unexpected, reappearance, because we can talk about a reappearance because Charlotte's now written 2 messages in the web. Accompanied, large crowd, because we had a large crowd of people coming to look at the web. Gathered, property, declared, subsequently is a lovely adverb, claimed, and the list goes on. Okay, outrageous. There are lots of pieces of vocab here, so well done if you magpied more than 8 pieces of vocab. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to look at up-leveling informal language. So now we've looked at informal and formal. We've picked out some vocab that is formal. So now we're going to fix an informal piece of writing. So this is the beginning of it. Pig's bid for freedom. Tomorrow, Wilbur the pig tried to get out of Mr. Zuckerman's farm because he was sad. Every animal felt very nervous, but he didn't escape. Okay, so this doesn't make sense. It's a bit too chatty, a bit too basic, so we want to make it more posh. Okay, so tomorrow. Let's change that to last week because we're in the past tense, so it can't possibly be tomorrow. Wilbur the pig. Well, we don't know who Wilbur is. We're a journalist. We've never met the pig, okay? So, a small runt pig attempted, so I've up-leveled the word tried to attempted to get out. Well, I could use escape, and it says to get out of Mr. Zuckerman's farm, so I could attempted to escape from his owner's farm. Last week, a small runt pig attempted to escape from his owner's farm. The animal in question was said to be feeling distressed. Okay, so I've got to every animal felt nervous. So when the incident occurred, the remaining animals felt unnerved by the incident. Thankfully, the pig, who is known as Wilbur, did not succeed in his attempts. Okay, so my sentences mean exactly the same thing as the original ones, but they've got far more detail. So let's reread it. Last week, a small runt pig attempted to escape from his owner's farm. The animal in question was said to be feeling distressed. When the incident occurred, the remaining animals felt unnerved by the incident. Oh, so I've repeated myself there, okay? So when the incident occurred, the remaining animals felt unnerved by what was occurring. Thankfully, the pig, who is known as Wilbur, did not succeed in his attempt. Okay, so I've up-leveled from informal to formal. So now it is your turn. We have begun together, so we have done the first 2 lines together, up-leveling. So now you are going to continue to up-level this entire piece of journalistic writing. Okay, this is your final task, up-leveling the wabble in your book using formal language. Off you go, year 4.